I have two common phrasal verbs to teach you today and a story so that you can remember them. If we haven't met, I'm Tanya. I'm the founder and creator of our She Speaks Fluency program for women here on English Coach 3Ts. And the story I have to tell you today so that you can remember these phrasal verbs happened when I was about 16 years old and I was in high school. Maybe I was more like 15. And at that time, there were two types of clothing that were super popular. We could say they were all the rage at the time, meaning they were super popular. And one of them was Izod, and the second one was Polo Brand. I'm wondering if you can remember either of those. Polo Brand was Ralph Lauren, is Ralph Lauren. And all of the popular kids in school had Izod shirts and polo shirts, shirts with the little alligator on them or shirts with the little polo guy on them. And I wanted a polo shirt so badly. I really felt that my whole life as a teenager and a student in high school really depended on it. Yes, I did. And I have to say, I wasn't really interested in fashion or brands of clothing as much as I was interested in fitting in. So this is our first phrasal verb. To fit in means that you belong or you are part of a group of people. And when we're using it in this way, to fit in high school, we mean we want all the other kids to think we're cool, to think we are, I don't know, to just have that feeling that you belong with the cool kids or the popular kids. I wonder if you can relate to this feeling. Did you have a time in high school or middle school or any time in your life when you felt like you wanted to fit in? Now, I think this is just a really common part of being a human. It's part of survival. We need to fit into a group of people in order to survive, especially, hundreds of years ago. But especially when we are a teenager, we feel like we really want to fit in. And for me, I think this was heightened for many reasons, which I might tell those stories at another time. But I felt a lot like I wanted the other kids to like me. I think this is another really common thing that over time I've kind of grown out of it. This is another phrasal verb, not the ones I'm talking about today, but I grew out of the need to fit in. Of course, I still want to fit in, but I grew out of needing this so badly. So let's continue our story. So I didn't have any Izod shirts, no polo shirts, and my stepmother, who I adore, and at the time I even adored her. Not a lot of teenagers adore their step parents, but I did. And so she saw how badly I wanted an Izod shirt, and she thought that it would be helpful to get me this little alligator pin. Now, in hindsight, I'm not sure she thought that it would be as helpful for what I was thinking, but maybe she thought it would be helpful for me to learn about this whole idea of the need to fit in. I can just say that over time, that's exactly what it did. It helped me to learn about this need that I had. But at the time, it was not helping me to get that. I did not want a pin to put on my shirt as an Izod. Now, today, I would love that because it makes a statement. The statement being that, okay, I have an alligator on my shirt, but I only paid, maybe $15 for it, and you have an alligator on the same kind of shirt and you paid $75 for it, or something like that. And there's a whole nother thing about clothing and fast fashion and all of that that I want to talk about. someday soon, but I will save that for another story as well. So the other suggestion from my father was that I get a knockoff Izod or polo shirt. So what is a knockoff? Well, the word knockoff or the phrase knock off is a noun in this particular phrase, but it can also be a phrasal verb. So let me tell you about both. As a noun, a knockoff is something that is made to be like something that is a famous brand. So, for example, you could go buy a shirt that has an alligator that's not exactly like the Izod brand, and this would be a knockoff. To bring this into the 21st century in 2020, 2024, when my girls were teenagers, they really loved Vans tennis shoes and Adidas tennis shoes. And if I would suggest, hey, let's buy this other shoe that looks exactly like the Vans or exactly like the Adidas, they would not be okay with that. They did not want a knockoff. So this would be a Vans knockoff or an Adidas knockoff, which I can understand because sometimes, not always, but sometimes the brand name, the famous brand, is also of greater quality. For example, I'm not giving a commercial here, but helping you to understand, none of these brands are paying me to make this video, but I love to wear Birkenstocks, and I don't like Birkenstock knockoffs. I don't wear Birkenstocks for the way they look. I wear Birkenstocks for the way that they feel and the quality of this type of shoe. So that's an example of what a knockoff is when you're talking about a noun. Okay, it could also be an adjective. Knockoff Vans. Knockoff is the adjective there. Okay, now I brought a prop. This is a prop to show you how this could be a phrasal verb. If I have my favorite brand of lotion, this is also not a commercial, they are not paying me, but if it is sitting on the table and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, this is a commercial for a video I did a while back that I'll link below if you want to know what to run around like a chicken with your head cut off means. If I have my favorite lotion on the table, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off and I knock it off the table, I knocked it off. I hit it and it fell off the table, my hand in this case. Okay, so this is the phrasal verb, to knock something off of something else. If something is on the counter or on a shelf and it gets hit and it falls off the counter or the shelf or whatever it is, we have knocked it off. And similarly, we also use this phrase to knock it off in another way, completely more like an idiom. If somebody is doing something that really irritates us or we really think they should stop, we can tell them to knock it off. I had this in a previous video too, which is kind of an old video, but I'll look for it, and if I find it, I will link it down below. So if, for example, one of your children is saying, "Mom, mom, 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 mom," which my children did a lot, you can say, "Just a minute, just a minute, I'm talking. Mom, 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 just a minute, I'm trying to talk. Mom, 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 mom." Knock it off means stop doing that. Knock it off. Don't do that. All right. This is a couple of examples for you. And if you have been following me for a long time, you know that hearing about these in a story, like I gave you a couple of different stories here, and having a couple of different examples is going to help you to remember. If you'd like to know more about that, I do suggest that after this video, you go watch that video that I will link below about how to learn English phrases. My Black Friday sale starts this Friday and ends on Monday. Now you and a friend can join our She Speaks Fluency program for women and get 2 memberships for the price of 1. Click on the link below and I'll send you the information you need about the program so that you can sign up and save. Now you can work with me and another woman. It could be your mother, your sister, your cousin, your daughter, whoever you would love learning English with together. But I want to finish telling you this story because the more you can relate to the story, the more that you can feel the story in your heart, the more that you can think of a similar experience in your life, the easier it will be for you to remember. So I did not like the idea from my dad to have a knockoff Izod shirt or polo shirt. So I decided to save my money. I saved my money from babysitting. I saved any money I got as gifts. I must have been less than 16 because I was not working at this time. And I know that I had my first job when I was 16 years old. It was pretty common here in the United States. But again, that's another story. So I did get money as gifts at Christmas or my birthday, or I would babysit, which technically is kind of working, but you get paid like next to nothing. And I would save up my money a lot. I needed a lot of money. For me, it felt like a lot of money because the name brands, the popular brands, the famous brands are very expensive. After I saved up what I remember to be about $50, I think, maybe it was less back in the 80s when I was a teenager, I went to a very popular store to purchase a polo shirt. I wanted specifically a polo shirt. And I shopped around the store and all of the shirts were more money than I had. And I had what to me was a lot of money. So I kept shopping and I went into another part of the store and realized there's shirts here that I could afford that are polo shirts. So I tried one on and I really liked it. It buttoned up. It had a collar with a button down collar, buttons on both sides of the collar. And I decided to purchase this shirt. And so I took it up to the register to pay. And the young woman, who was just a little older than me, maybe 3 or 4 years older than me, working at the register, looked at me with sort of a snooty look. Let me show you a snooty look. Like, I'm better than you. I know more than you. This is a snooty look. And she said, you do know that that is a man's shirt, right? And of course I didn't know that, but I didn't want her to know that, right? Because I want to fit in. There's that phrasal verb again. And so I was like, yeah, I want to buy this. So I was like falling over my words like I did just a bit ago. Yes, I want to buy this shirt. And so I purchased the shirt and they put it in this special bag that we never had special bags like that where we bought our clothes at lesser expensive places. So I was pretty excited to not only have a polo shirt, but this special bag. And I took it home and I was telling the story to my stepmother, who's a very kind-hearted person. And she, in the kindest, softest, gentlest way possible, explained to me that men's shirts are often less expensive than women's shirts. And part of the reason is that they can charge more. They can make you pay more money because you will, which to me is a very sad part of marketing, but I won't get into that right now. I will just say that I was super embarrassed, very embarrassed, and so embarrassed that I almost didn't want to wear my shirt to school, which is the whole reason I bought it, to wear it to school so I could fit in. And my stepmother again explained to me that the only difference really between a shirt for men and women, this type of shirt, is that men's buttons one way. I can't remember if it was like this or like this, but men's buttons one way and women's button the other way, and who cares? Which was a big part of me learning this whole experience. I learned a lot. And you know, my parents really did what I explained in that other video with the how to learn English phrases. They showed me versus telling me. And I will forever be grateful, even though I was not grateful at the time, because it had a big part in making me who I am today. So I wonder if you can relate to this story, meaning, can you remember a similar story? Can you remember something like this that happened to you? It doesn't have to be the exact thing. Can you remember a time when you wanted to fit in at school or in another place? Can you remember a time when you saved your money to buy something like this, or a time that you were embarrassed? Trying to remember something like this and telling the story in English is really going to help you with your fluency. So I would love for you to tell us the story in the comments below, or tell it to another friend, or write it down, something that will help you to keep learning English in this way. And if you really want to just watch another video, hear another story, learn more vocabulary and phrases in the best way possible, which is in a real story like this, and you also want to know, how can I remember all of these things I'm learning? Then I recommend you go and watch this video next, the one I've been talking about throughout this video, and it is going to help you with exactly that. I'll see you there.